And so I broke down how I spent my time. For Media, which is my production company, that's 80% of my time on what I do. 15% of what I do is a freelance TV presenter, producer, and 5% is my vlog, Beer Beauty, about beer. And so Annette gave me this brief, come and talk to you today about these key words. When I kept looking at your email, Annette, and going, let me try and focus on these key words. So I'm going to be talking about proactivity, how I've been proactive in my life, how I've turned ideas that I've had into projects, and how I've tried to get to my aim. The risks I've taken through my life, the networks that I use to communicate with people, connect with people, and just general ups and downs about being a freelance creative. And I hope you get something out of this. So there's a few mantras that I have in life. For me, you know, I've been working in the media for over 20 years, but there's always more to achieve. I always feel personally I've still got a lot of stuff that I want to do. There's no right way or wrong way of doing anything. Personally, I use a softly approach with everybody, but I'm still no nonsense. I've always calculated my risks. I've always known my desired outcome, even if I wasn't quite sure the path that I was taking to get there. I always knew where I wanted to be at the end. Stick to your principles, but be flexible about them as well. That sounds like a total contradiction in terms. Proactivity is king, but don't be a busy fool. Lorna, you were saying something about you know, having loads and loads of ideas, but it's about focusing and kind of choosing the right ones to follow. And what I always say to everybody is carve your own path. You're going to look at a lot of people maybe doing the same things as you and going, oh, they're brilliantly, they're doing this, they're doing that, why can't I do the same? You don't have to do the same. Carve your own path. Do things your way. Proactivity when I was young, I was really driven by these random people on the screen. When I was about 13 years old, I was really inspired by Moira Stewart, Trevor McDonald, Uncle Trev as I like to call him, who I met a few years ago. Dale Winton, who used to be a radio presenter in Wolverhampton, and I used to phone into his radio shows and try and win competitions, that's why he's there. And Philip Schofield, you know, I looked at him and went, God, that job looks good. That was years ago in the broom cupboard. And I was really inspired by these people. I was a teenager. So I knew from that age, you know, it was about 12, 13, that I wanted to say something. What? I don't know. And the outcome was me eventually becoming a broadcaster. So, you know, my proactivity in that sense when I was young and being really driven by those people was that I knew I wanted to find out more about TV and radio. And to do that, I needed to get inside these places, these institutions, with all these broadcasters to see for myself. So, you know, when I was 16, I picked up the phone Central News, B&B, BBC, got the names of people to write letters to ask for work experience, really, in a meek way, not expecting anything to come back. And I got some chances, and in the end, you know, I used to get on the bus from Bartley Green and tootle into Aston to B&B and answer the phone on a Saturday morning for a particular show. And from there, I became a volunteer presenter at Radio Lollipop in Birmingham, because that's what Philip Schofield did. So I was pulling on these people that I admired and was hearing how they did it and trying to follow what they were doing. And for a lot of my life I was a secretary, but I did end up being a temporary secretary at BBC Pebble Mill. So I was back in the studios, finding out what was going on, even though I wasn't actually producing or broadcasting, I was in the mix. And whilst I was a secretary as well, I sacrificed my early mornings and my weekends, and I worked as a traffic and travel broadcaster at Traffic Link. You know, you're in the car and you hear, you know, I'm the M6 southbound between junctions 8 and 10, and it's been a pilot, blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of thing I was doing. And then I built on that to go to commercial radio, those two radio stations there at the bottom. And must have had the same light bulb as you at 30th birthday. I was so miserable with my life. I was like, what do I do? I'm a secretary, I'm doing all this broadcasting stuff on an amateur level, and I thought, I've just got to be sensible. I've got a degree. I wanted to turn my amateur stuff into a professional, and saw this course, and I've been looking at the PG dip for about 5 years, and I didn't do anything about it, and then I decided I have to do it. Took the risk. I applied for the course. I didn't have that fee. I did not have £3,500, so I knew I had to land the bursary somehow. I did get the bursary, thank God. I quit a job early to go on this course. I had a minuscule income for 6 months. With the bursary, I was lucky to get training with ITV. That was really tough. Was a freelancer after that experience. And just when you're a freelancer and you're new in the industry, it was really, really up and down, you know, very irregular income, not much self-confidence because people didn't really know you as a broadcaster, and you were trying to get jobs and no one wanted you, give you a week here, a week there. I almost quit, but I stayed the course because I really believed somewhere down the line I could do it. So I managed to hang on. So yeah, those are just some of the places that I worked at after getting the ITV News bursary. I trained at Central Tonight, freelance at Beacon, Asian Network, even CFAX. I think that doesn't exist anymore now, does it? CFAX. I was a reporter, newsreader, presenter at WM and Midlands Today on 2 contracts. And then I made the move from Midlands Today to Sky News as an anchor 2 years ago this summer. What I do now is I'm freelance as a presenter, corporate stuff, I'm a voiceover, host awards, events. I'm working with Maverick TV at the moment on a digital service for the NHS locally, called NHS Local. And for the first time ever I've been nominated for an award. I'm up for an award this Thursday at the RTS as Best On-Screen Female Personality. So looking forward to that. So, project. This was a project. I was at Midlands Today and I knew I wanted to be at Sky News because I was anxious about getting older and not getting there and doing what Moira had done when I saw her at 13 years old. And I thought, you know, I've got to try and do it somehow. Not sure how. I'm a member of the NUJ, always have been, joined when I started my course. I think, personally, you know, union membership is really useful if whatever field you're going into, you join. So I went to a union networking session, of which there were many, and of which there is one coming up in December, about how you can move on in TV. At that networking session I met Mark Thompson, the Director General of the BBC, and I said, hello, you don't know me. I'd really like to come to London and have a go at a screen test in London. He said, oh, send me an email. I said, okay. Followed that up with an email, and he said, he passed me on to someone else who said, come to London and do a screen test. I said, okay. And at the same time, I was at Midlands Today with a peer from WM who was also on a secondment from radio to Midlands Today. And she got offered a training course to go to, within the BBC, an internal training course, TV news presenting. And she got offered that course, and I went, what? I fancy having a go at that as well. So I was really motivated by that, and I asked my boss, can I have a go at that training course as well? I think it'd be really useful because I've been asked to go to London and I have not presented before. I think I just need to get some training before landing in London and going, you know. So my boss said, yeah, gave me the training, and then we both, me and my peer at the time at Midlands Today, we managed to get to do some early bulletin presenting at Midlands Today, so that's getting up at 5 o'clock, sitting in the studio, you know, first bulletin at 6:30. And even that was a bit of a fight, lots of office politics, that person's been there longer than you, you're on secondment, you can't do early bulletins, but we both managed to get it. So I did the screen test, and I just sent it to the BBC, the DVD, and just said, oh, what do you think? Think it's any good? I didn't hear anything back, really oddly, I didn't hear anything back from the BBC in London after doing that. But I did send it to ITV and Sky. ITV asked me to apply for a job. Almost got there, but didn't quite. And in the end, Sky News made me an offer. Calculated risk. I leapt because I was a staff, permanent job at the BBC that I'd really, you know, worked a long time for, worked at least 3 or 4 years for to get to that position. And Sky was saying, you come to us freelance. So quit your staff job, quit your permanent job, quit your 15th of every month, getting paid, knowing what you're getting paid, really know where you are with that. But I did it. And Sky kind of put me on a 6-month term, and then extended to 12 months, and extended to 18 months. So I was there 18 months in total. And I was anchor for World News and Business Report, which in its own sense was totally scary. I'm not going to bore you about how scary and terrifying that job is, to deal with breaking news and sit on set live for 4 or 5 hours. It's horrific, but it's a great experience. It's a great experience. Here's another example of my proactivity in taking risks. At the same time that I moved to Sky, because I was freelance and my income went, I knew I had to kind of balance up my income. And so I decided to set up Funk Media, which is a corporate video production company. I don't like that term anymore. It's probably more creative video content. We create content for all sorts of clients, a lot of stuff on the web, a lot of public, private sector clients. And it's just me and my business partner. We operate from home. We don't need premises. We hire kit in to do all our jobs. My business partner is the technical genius of the operation. I'll talk to a client and go, you can have this, 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 and this. This is your budget. We'll shoot it. I'll invoice you. My business partner takes the kit, shoots it all. I'll assist on location, write scripts. He'll edit with motion graphics, music, the works. That's how it's split. And when we need people, we'll hire people in. Additional expertise is a big job.